All right, all right. Happy Wednesday. We are in the building, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Good evening, ladies, and welcome to Wine and Wisdom, where it's time for us to sip, savor, and elevate our minds. Yes, I'm here tonight with my wine, and I definitely have my wisdom. And tonight's topic is really good. It's about catch-22 situations. And I know women, because of what we do, in our careers, we're high achieving, we're career minded, we're trying to balance those things out. We can definitely find ourselves in some workplace catch-22 situations. So we're going to gas up that topic real quick and talk about that in just a second, but we have to take a moment to take a sip so that we can savor. Yeah, y'all know I like Moscato. I like the sweet stuff. Okay. First of all the nuggets that I'm going to give you are absolutely for you to take and be able to use them immediately. But if you find that I am hitting on something that just calls your attention and you're ready to make that shift in your life and you're ready to start being the woman that you always have wanted to be, to show up authentically in your business, to show up authentically in your life, then I want you to definitely click the link that's located in the section above so that you can come on and have a connection with me on my Seen and Be Heard call, because this is all about us connecting, me giving you some one-on-one nuggets about the blueprint that you need for the rest of your life so you can start feeling 100% confident in your shit and not worrying about what somebody else has to say, okay? Now, with that said, I am Dr. Carlia East. I've been in this game for over 22 years, serving women all over the United States and motivating them to live their authentic, unapologetic, badass life. And my goal with Wine and Wisdom is always to teach women, especially women who are geared towards being excellent, right? That we have to be powerhouses in every room that we step in. And so in navigating being a powerhouse, that also means talking about the shit that matters and dealing with the subjects that hit us super hard at home so that we can have better ways of managing and dealing. Okay, so we're going to get it right into it, because Wine and Wisdom definitely gives us a space to sip, savor, and what else? Elevate your minds. Now, let's talk about Maya. Now, Maya's in the tech world, and y'all know the tech world, they don't play around with that. So here she is already in a field that's male dominated, right? So how many of you women know that you've been in fields that are male dominated or currently in one that's male dominated? It comes with a lot of ebb and flow, but it comes with also a lot of nonsense. Now, Maya has been in the tech world for over 15 years, and she has dedicated herself to breaking those glass barriers, which means that she has shown up and shown out in every room that she has ever been in, defied the odds, questioned the methods, right? So she's done the work, she's done her due diligence, and she's been super innovative with her ideas. She's brought new things to the platform. The company has thrived because of her. There are even certain projects that they put her as lead on, which is a big honor, in her particular field. And so here we have a woman that is thriving in both a male dominated, population, and she's doing well at her thriving. She is considered, what do we call her? A trailblazer, right? In handling herself. However, she's been dealing with some unique challenges since she's been in that field. Now, one of the challenges is the catch-22 nonsense. Now, what they also call this, y'all, is called a double bind. And a double bind is when you're caught in between two situations, right? And so for Maya, her situation is, on one hand, I have to be hardcore, right? I got to come with the pain. I have to be assertive, strong, very focused on my material. My expectations are high. You want me to present with authority and integrity. But then at the same time, you're also expecting me to be soft and empathetic and nurturing and, all these other feelings. So the question that Maya often has is, which one is it? Like, either you want me to be strong and capable at the job, but then on the other hand, I'm getting called out for not being soft and smooth. But yet, do male counterparts get those same arguments? I'd say, hell no, they don't. If a male shows up on his job assertive and in demand of whatever he wants that particular day, he's considered to be a strong individual. Full stop, period, at the end of the sentence. There is no he needs to be softer, he needs to be more feminine, right? In the way that he behaves. I remember I dated a guy for a while, and the guy told me that I don't need to date a man because I am a man. He literally told me that. He said, you don't need to date a man because you are a man. You're so aggressive and you want it this way, and you just walk into a room. And I looked at him and I was like, you are a sad little intimidated little creature, because the fact that I can't be strong without you feeling weak is an issue. I should be able to feel strong in every room that I walk in, whether it's the boardroom or the bedroom. I should feel empowered in that. And I should not feel that I have to subscribe to a definition of what the female should look like. First of all, let's get this straight. The career path that many of you are in right now, that I am in right now, wasn't designed for us. First of all, it might have not been designed for a woman, and it definitely might have not been designed for a minority woman, okay? And how about a woman that just got flavor, period, okay? So we already are in the game of something that we haven't even been taught to play. The game wasn't created for us. So then we're there, and you're expecting me to perform to a level that you see us as women. No, you don't get to put that type of stereotype on me, because at the end of the day, I have to show up and show out based upon what I feel in my heart. And so many of us in our careers are really intimidated and afraid to stand up in those spaces because of that catch-22 double bind type crap, because of the fact that you're not given the same leeway as men are given, on the job, right? If I were to say that I'm feeling some type of way to my boss and express things, and this has been a true situation, I was told that I was being emotional, right? But then when a guy said, well, I don't appreciate this and that and the third, then he was told that he was being assertive, or I was told that I was being aggressive, right? Those types of things. I also think that it pisses me off. Well, I know that it pisses me off to the top level of pistinity when the expectation is that we're not supposed to have any feelings at all. First of all, I'm not a robot, I'm a human being. I'm allowed to have emotions. But when I see that the expectations that you have for me on the job are more of a personal, stereotypical vibe and not of the quality of work, right, and the brilliance that I bring to the table every single day, then I'm going to stand up and fight against that, because you're stereotyping me and you're trying to put me in a box. Okay. Now, how many of y'all understand that box that I'm talking about? How many of you guys can relate to Maya and the situation that she's been in? And we've all been in different ones, whether you worked in the private sector or the public sector, there are different rules and norms that come along with that. And also there are different stereotypes as a woman that comes along with that, especially if you're in a field that wasn't particularly designed for a woman to be in, such as tech or engineering or some of those higher level, fields. Or let's even talk about welding and HVAC. These are also areas that you would expect to find a woman in, or being a police officer, but you do. And when you do, you have this very, archaic definition of how we're supposed to show up to the table. And if we show up just as fierce and just as strong as our male counterparts, which is what the job requires, then I'm no longer feminine. Then I'm no longer a girl. I'm sorry. What makes me a woman is my vagina. It's kind of like the way I was made at birth, right? It's kind of like my birthright to be in this space because I got a vagina. And I'm not knocking anybody's identity, but I'm just pointing out the argument that I'm having here is that at the end of the day, I'm already a woman. I'm not defined by the amount of work that I do, and I'm definitely not defined by the amount of kids that I have. Neither one of those. So the challenging part of navigating societal expectations is that it pulls you in conflicting directions, right? It literally pulls you in and you don't know what direction to go in. So you're a hustler at heart. You go hard in the paint, 10 toes down. You strive to be competent in everything that you do. But at the same time, you are then considered less nurturing, and sometimes you're even considered weak, right? So let's talk about that. Finding that perfect balance is not easy in the workplace, right? We're constantly dealing with, whether you're dealing with racism, sexism, just ignorant isms, right? We're dealing with all of them. The empowerment books that you read are good, right? But they don't help you get through every situation, right? The women's groups that you go to are very powerful because you need those sisterhoods and those sisterships to help you get through. But them sisters ain't there when you're dealing with that nonsense on a day-to-day basis. You're there. So what has to shift? Your mind has to shift, because all of those things that you're doing are great and necessary, but if they're just fillers and they're not the primary dish, they're not going to feed you or serve you in a way that you need to be served. So the first thing that you have to do is actually the hardest thing. This is the nugget. Everybody ready for the nugget? Okay. The first thing that you have to do is acknowledge and reject. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Acknowledge and reject. Don't get pissed off at the stereotype and the nonsense. Instead, acknowledge it for what it is and give a very high achieving, career minded, setting your own footprint definition of why that's inappropriate. Okay. Sometimes you need to educate people on the shit that they're messing up on because they don't even realize that they're messing up, because they haven't done the research and they're not the recipients of the emotions. They're not receiving it, they're dishing it. And when you dish something and you give it out, you're only coming from your perspective, but the person that's on the other end receiving it, we're the best individuals to say, okay, this is a catch-22 situation. This is not how you treat the rest of the team. This is not the same expectations that you had for Bob and for David over here. These are not the same, rules and the same assignments that, Terrell had to turn in. You have to call stuff out. Don't worry about that, you being a snitch in the office. Not being a snitch, it's about equality and equity. And we've worked too hard and built up too many communities and too many, infrastructures as women to be put in a box or to be categorized because you want to fit me into your particular mold. Well, I'm here to tell you, ladies, it's time to break out of that mold, okay? See, when taking it in, you've got to acknowledge that I'm seeing what I'm hearing what's happening, but I'm also going to confront what's taking place, because I'm not going to sit here and just continue to ride on that. Because when you do that, ladies, it begins to be the norm and the expectation of how you're going to roll. And let's just be real, that's not how we're rolling, and that's not how we want to roll. So that's not what we want to present. What we want to do is make sure that we're being very clear about our expectations. And when I say make sure, I mean send an email. All bulletins report, FYI, attached is a research article, attached is another article. Sometimes you got to educate the masses and demonstrate what needs to be done. And I know that can be scary. I know that can be intimidating, because why? You've already worked so hard to get to where you are. And now that you're there, you have to deal with the isms. You have to deal with the nonsense. But let me tell you something, ladies. Just because you arrive at a certain space doesn't mean that work is finished. We will always have to reset the tone if the tone is wrong. Do you understand me? Because that's a part of what we do. Okay, so you need to understand that it's not just about you, but every single person, woman that's coming behind you, and the fact that you don't want anybody being treated that way. So why are you going to sit there and take it? You're not. You're going to educate the masses. Okay, because you deserve to be seen and heard. So ladies, I hope you vibed with that. I know I did. I needed to hear myself say that, because sometimes it is hard for us to show up every day at work and deal with the trials and tribulations that we deal with and still come out on top, right? And still be positive. So listen, I know y'all was taking notes. I know y'all was vibing with what I was saying. I know I was vibing with what I was saying, but I want to connect with you. So definitely reach out to me for my Seen and Be Heard consultation call. It's really about me building a blueprint specifically for you so that you can be dynamic and amazing in the ways that you already are. But life, your own mindset, fears, intimidation, and pride is holding you back, right? You might be in a career that's not the one that you need to be in, and you know you need to pivot, but you don't know how to pivot. You're afraid to pivot. You don't have the mental set for the pivot. Many of us have the resources, but we don't have the mindset, right? And when that mind gets bottled and jumbled, we don't move. This is about you making moves for yourself, because in this call, I'm going to clarify your goals and values for you, help you build confidence and assertiveness, and also cultivate an action plan that works directly for you. Now, if it don't make sense for us to work together, we won't work together. But at the end of the day, at least you know you took the first step at owning yourself, right? And no longer being a slave to the nonsense or the propaganda. So, as always, it has been a blast sipping and enjoying and toasting this wine and wisdom. Ladies, I hope you really vibe with what I had to say today, because again, navigating these worlds of business and relationships, we have to find that balance, and we have to have some connections to find it, right? So again, please like, share, comment on everything that you saw here. Please let other people know about the Wine and Wisdom Wednesdays. I will be back next Wednesday where we'll be dropping a new episode. Other than that, I want you guys to take care and be blessed, and always stay unapologetically authentic. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.